Walther PPK. The name itself is instantly recognizable to Bond fans and individuals around the world. You might have a faint image of it if you've never seen one before, a silhouette, a fleeting memory of Sean Connery or Roger Moore or Daniel Craig or Timothy Dalton or whomever the case may be wielding it on screen heroically, or maybe reading about it for the first time on the page, being introduced to Fleming. Whatever your first touch point is, thanks to James Bond, the Walther PPK is undoubtedly one of the most iconic handguns of the 20th century, without a doubt. And that's kind of the power of pop culture. And so today, the story that I'm going to share with you is one that is very personal. It's the story of my very first Walther PPK. How I got it, why it matters to me, how I still use it today, and of course, its connection to James Bond. Let's dive right in. So, starting out, this is my first Walther PPK, chambered in .380. This is a Smith Wesson production pistol, which they have been much maligned, and for good reason too. The vast majority of these handguns during their production run actually were under recall for a variety of hazardous issues, like discharging with the safety on and stuff like that. Not ideal. However, I'm very blessed that this model happens to be from the final year of production, 2012, and it is not a recall gun. It actually works incredibly well. It's a workhorse. It's a pistol I actually got the year it was produced, in 2012. In that year, I was an 8th grader going into freshman year of high school. And the truth of it is, if you think I'm a nerd for doing this channel, you have no idea how deep that stuff actually goes. This was a gift from my parents, which was very generous, and it was the handgun I really learned on, aside from my dad's Colt Gold Cup, Series 70. And it was because that summer, it was my birthday, which was cool. But also that year I'd actually gone to nationals for debate and was a semifinalist. I was a semifinalist in the 8th grade. And so there was a couple other things that happened that summer that were really exciting, that I was really proud of. And it kind of all accumulated into one big thing, Caleb, as a congratulations, as a birthday gift, whatever the case may be, kind of compiling, compact it all together, and you get to choose one. And the choice that we had whittled it down to was, my dad wanted me to have a handgun. He wanted me to learn on a platform. And it's not like he was a huge handgun shooter, but he knew I really wanted one because of James Bond. And so we were between the Walther PPK and the Walther P99, which at that time was a Walther P99 AS, or Gen 3 variant, which I was pretty young at the time, and I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea that it was no longer the screen-accurate gun that was still being produced. All I knew was, my dad said, hey, which one do you want? Do you want to go for the P99 or the PPK? And I deliberated for hours. I think he was going to kill me at some point because of the amount of time I was talking to him. Going, hey, so, I was thinking about this, but then that. And I actually have distinct memories of him just standing there going, you just need to pick, man. And so, he and I went through it, and we got the PPK, and we picked this one. And I remember everything about the night that we brought this gun home. My dad and I reading the manual ferociously, trying to figure out why the gun kept locking open like this, and we could not for the life of us get it to close. Took a little bit to figure out that the slide lock was actually all internal, and the magazine was in fact holding it open. We came to that conclusion on our own, and we figured that out. So proud of us. But I remember that, and then I remember taking it out shooting and everything that went along with that. And I was 13, 12, somewhere in that range, and this is my gun. I had the airsoft version of this gun. I mean, I grew up shooting it all the time and loving it, and hanging out with friends, and they had all their setups, and I just had this and like an MP5 or whatever. I was happy as could be. But I moved on to the .380. So this gun has been with me for a significant amount of time, and for as short as I've been alive, this gun has been there for half of it, really. And it's been a constant companion. When I turned 19, in the state of Missouri, you can start concealed carrying a firearm at 19. This is the handgun I qualified with. It's the gun that I began carrying immediately. I carried it in the Vega IB 333 suede inside the waistband holster, which is the holster that Daniel Craig used during his run as James Bond. You see it first in Skyfall. Well, you don't see it, but it's there. And you really see it in Spectre. He puts it on top of the dish and such in 2015. And so when I turned 19, I started carrying this gun in that configuration, spare magazine in the pocket, that sort of thing. And it was fun. It was really, really great. And it's still today my primary carry firearm. I've got a .32 Walther PPK from the 1940s that's needing a little bit of love, and I carried it for a while before it started to becoming a little more dilapidated again. But I've shot a number of classes with this gun aside from the concealed carry qualification, a couple with Chuck Haggard. Actually, we did a low light pistols class, which was amazing. Actually, now that I think about it, I had taken a low light class when I was still in the industry, when I was like in high school. It was a class that was offered at the store I was working at. So I took a low light class then with the PPK, and then later with the PPK, and really no issues at all. Which again, based on its lineage as a Smith Wesson pistol, I'm very proud of. It's a gun that just keeps running and running and running. Now, it's unfortunate, right, as a Bond fan to go, okay, cool, you have a PPK, but everyone knows if you want the Bond PPK, you need a 1960s iteration with the brown Bakelite grips, the beautiful round nose, pre-1967 ideally, because that gets you away from all the import stamps, and in 7.65 millimeter. It's the Bond gun. It's the one that we hear about in Dr. No, even though it's not the one we see. It's the one you hear about in that one. It's the one you see in the hands of Sean Connery all throughout the 60s. And it's just kind of that iconic piece that everyone feels is like the gun, which is completely true. But the Smith & Wesson gun has had its day in the sun. In 2023, when we finally got, 2021, it's just been a long time since we've actually gotten a new movie. But in 2021, when No Time to Die released, the Walther PPK by Smith & Wesson and 380 Auto was in fact the hero gun. Pretty cool. The entire movie, the only PPK we see is this generation. There's a few details that give that away. The sights, the beaver tail, really, really cool. And it makes me so happy to know that this gun that was already kind of just my Bond gun, it was the one that I'd grown up with and learned to shoot on and still carry to this day, now in a custom holster that I've designed with TH holsters, it's called the Spectre Mark III, not to shill too hard. Designed around James Bond's holster, but actually has a Kydex shell with a suede wrap and the DCC discrete carry concepts clip with the Walther branding on it, which is super cool. So anyway, I digress. I still carry this setup pretty frequently. It's my primary carry most of the year. It's what I reach for on a daily basis. It's what I shoot very, very often. And it's a gun that I continue to use, and one that I don't think I ever will get away from, despite adding all the other Bond guns to the collection. This one, to me, is incredibly special. It's showing its age. Smith & Wesson's bluing on these particular models was pretty lackluster, and so even the suede holster was actually wearing the slide pretty aggressively, with holster wear on either side. But honestly, I don't care. It's a workhorse. It's going to be abused. It looks great, half beaten to death, and I look forward to continue using it because this is the gun that got me into self-defense. It's the gun that got me into daily carry. It's the one that I will always enjoy, and it's the one that I've taught so many people to shoot on as well. And so, it's not just a tool. It has its memories, and in so many ways, it's because of this gun that the Walther PPK to me isn't just James Bond's gun. It's my gun. It's the one that I know best. Because of owning this one as long as I have, I can now rebuild Walther PPKs from the ground up. Take it apart to the smallest part, hand fit pieces, put it back together. Because I learned on this growing up. I forced myself to become competent. So that's kind of the story of my first Walther PPK. I kind of want to do this with a few more of the guns that kind of matter to me. I hope you guys enjoy this kind of like personal story stuff here, because at the end of the day, like the people who collect watches or the sartorial items or anything else, it's not just getting the item that matters, it's the miles you put on it and the stories that you can tell with it that I think are the most impactful. And so while for me it's really cool that Daniel Craig finally carried my favorite gun and my setup of the gun on screen, it's even cooler just to have it on my own and to have all those stories associated with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, we'll go through a few more guns like this in the collection. I've got a handful of really fun Bond pieces that I think have some cool stories associated with them. So thanks again for stopping by the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. Cheers.